Hello, ninth graders. This is Mr. Feiler, and I'm going to talk to you right now about Lab 1.4, in which we're going to be measuring mass and volume. Now, we discussed mass and volume in one of our classes, and it's kind of hard to tell exactly how they're different from each other, since they're both ways of measuring the amount of matter. We know volume is the amount of space that an object occupies, and mass is the amount of matter in an object. And the goal of this lab is to kind of see how those two kinds of measurements are different from each other. What we're going to do is we're going to have three different objects, and those three objects are going to be these metal blocks. This one is made of aluminum. This one is made out of copper. You can see a little Cu on there. That's the symbol for copper. And the last one is made out of zinc, and you can see a little Zn, that's for zinc. Okay, and what we're going to do is for each of those objects we're going to measure its volume as well as its mass. So let's start with volume. To measure volume you use a graduated cylinder, which you can see is marked in milliliters. And you're going to start out by filling it part way with water. I recommend filling it around 20 milliliters, although the exact number of milliliters is not important. But if you have it too full, it might overflow when you drop an object into it. And so I recommend around 20 or maybe 25 milliliters to have the best results. Now, as you can see here, I have filled it up to approximately 25 milliliters. Let's see. All right. Get this lined up. Okay, so around 25 milliliters. Now, to measure the volume of an object, of course, you figure out what the volume is of the water currently. Okay, then you drop in an object. Now, what I have here for you to use is a hook. Okay, that's just a paper clip, and that allows you to lower the object into the water without splashing any water out. Okay, so now once you drop the object in, you notice that the level of water went up. And so what you'll do is you'll take this volume that you have now and subtract from it the volume of the water originally, and that'll give you the volume of the object. Okay, so that's our measurement of volume. Next will be our measurement of mass. For mass, you will either have a digital scale or you'll have a triple beam balance, which is what you're looking at right now. First, to find the mass, I'll set them all to 0. Okay, and if your scale is set, your triple beam balance is set, it should balance over here at 0. Okay, and right now it looks pretty good. It's kind of hovering back and forth, but that means it's pretty well set. If it's not, then I can go onto this left side and I can adjust it by moving the little balance over here one way or the other. Okay, so since it's a little bit below the 0, I can turn it to adjust it a little bit further out, and that makes sure that it's calibrated. Alright? Okay, so now if I want to find the mass using a triple beam balance, I place my object on the balance, which as you can see tilts it, and I'm going to start with the biggest set first. So I'm going to move this over to 100. So since it tilted down, I know that my object is less than 100 grams. Now I go to my tens, and I can see 40 still hasn't tilted it down. I'm going to slide it out to 50, still didn't move it down, but 60 tipped the balance down. So now I know my object must be somewhere between 50 and 60. So now I would go back to 50, and I would start sliding out my ones. Okay, now I'm not going to complete the measurement for you because that's your job in tomorrow's lab, but I want you to kind of know how the triple beam balance works. Some of you, rather than a triple beam balance, will use a much easier balance to work with, which is the digital scale. Okay, and the digital scale simply is set to 0, and I just take the object and I place it on top. Okay, and once I do that, you'll see that the measurement comes up. Make sure that your scale is set to grams. You should see a G here. If you hit the units button, you can switch it to ounces, newtons, and then back to grams. And we're going to be measuring the mass in grams because that's the metric base unit. All right, once you have made your measurements, make sure you record them on your data table, and we'll kind of get a better understanding of the difference between mass and volume. Thank you.